Hi everyone, for today's Tech Tuesday, we're actually going to be talking about Apple Classroom. Apple Classroom is an application for the iPads that allows you to engage in classroom management. It allows you to monitor what your students are seeing on their iPads, control exactly what they're allowed to do while they're on the iPad, and lots of other features that we'll get into a little bit more detail. I do want to give a shout out to Ms. Landrum. She's the one whose iPad I'm using here today. She's got her class already set up, and without further ado, we're going to go take a look at it. So the first thing you do is go to Apple Classroom. It is the application icon. It has an orange background with an orange man on a white board. So we're going to select that. You can see here, this is the home page, what we found. Ms. Landrum's name is up at the top right, the left-hand corner, excuse me, and we see that she has already created two classes, room 16 and room 14, because she has two different groups. We're going to look at what she's already created, room 16. So select room 16, and you can see here is what she has got set up. So she has room 16, which is the name of her class, and then she's got all her students on Adriana. She got them all labeled in here, and this is each of their individual iPads that they're assigned to. Some of you might have multiple students using the same iPad, or you might have classes where you have a homeroom and you have a second class, so maybe in that instance it's better to number your iPads and then know who has what numbers. But you can see here, this is how she has her set up, and again, congratulations to her. I know she's using Apple Classroom pretty well. So we're going to end that class, and I'm going to show you today, if you're a new user to Apple Classroom, what you're going to do. So first thing you're going to do is, when you log in for the first time, it's going to ask you what your teacher information is. We see here she's got Ms. Landrum, so we're not going to mess with that. Cancel out of that. But you can see, if you had no classes in here, you would see the empty square with a plus icon. So what we would do, we would select that plus, and this pulls up what we can have for our Apple Classroom. And you can see, if you've set up your Apple Classroom a while ago, there have actually been some updates to the app, so it looks a little bit different than it would have looked previously. So we're going to name our class, just for this video, Test Class. And if you want to put a description, if you have multiple classes, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to. We will call this, we can use different icons. I want to use the calculator icon, and we use green, since I like green. So we've got our name, and we can have a description if we wanted to, but we've got an icon that we want. We've got a color scheme. So we're going to hit done, and you can see it's popped up. Now we have a test class. So I select my test class, click on it. You can see it's empty. So it says that I need to add students. So the next step for adding students is to just add students. And so what this does is it pulls up a screen for you where you can see how to add your students. It's waiting on our students currently. So you'll see it has the cancel, the add, the icon, and then a code here at the bottom. That code at the bottom is what you're going to do when you go to a student's iPad. You're going to type that in. And in just 1 second, I'm going to show you how to do the student iPad. Okay, I've switched over to a student iPad now, and I'll show you the process for adding students into your class. So the first thing you want to do is go to the settings, and once you're on settings, you're going to see, you have to make sure first that all of your iPads are on the same Wi-Fi and that their Bluetooth is turned on. So we're on the technology and our Bluetooth is turned on. And right underneath that Bluetooth, you can see the classroom icon. This is what we want to click on. So we click on classroom. And then we see here, we have a new class invitation, test class. It's in blue. We're going to click on it. So it's test class, Ms. Landrum. That's what we want. Since this is just a test, our first name is just going to be test. Last name will be student. And this is where you need to remember the code that you have from your previous one. I do know that our code was 8654. Typed in the code, there'll be an add up in the top right hand corner. We're going to hit add, and now we're waiting on the teacher, and which means we'll switch back over to our teacher iPad, and I will switch back over. All right, we switched back over to our teacher iPad, and you can see here we're still inside the Apple Classroom, but now it says we have a new student that we want to add, and it's test student. It says test. You can see the green circle. We got it. We're going to hit add, and now we've got our test student. And so now that we have the test student enrolled, we can actually start playing with some of the features of the test class. If you see, the test student is our only student enrolled right now, but it gives you kind of a glimpse at what each student's on, what screen they're on their iPad. The test student right now is on the settings screen, which is where we left the other iPad. If I were to press the home button, that test thing goes away. So I was touching the student's iPad, and it showed up on the screen here. So let's say our student went to a different app. I'm going to just choose a random app from the test student iPad. We're going to choose, let's say we choose iStation, right? So then we see iStation as the icon that pops up under here. Now, here's where some of the features of Apple Classroom come in. So we're going to talk through all of them. Right underneath in class off to the side, you see open, and that's opening apps. And so what we're going to do, let's say you want to send all of your iPads in your class to a specific app. You touch the open, and you can see here are all the apps we could choose from right now. And let's say we just want to take them to we'll go to GarageBand, right? So we see GarageBand as the first app there on the left. You want to make sure if you want all of your students to be locked into an app, that means they can't go to any other apps while they're using GarageBand or whatever app you choose. You want to make sure at the bottom you see lock in app after opening. This has to be green. So you want it to be green. And then if you choose GarageBand and we select it, now our student's iPad will go to GarageBand. You can see that it is going to GarageBand right now. Actually, that ended up being an app that the iPad did not want to open, so that's why it's giving this weird flickering thing. So we're going to go ahead and unlock that iPad so that we can get off of GarageBand, and we'll no longer have that issue. Maybe. Let's open up another app just so that we get rid of this GarageBand thing. Okay. This time I did not hit the locked in feature, so the iPad is not actually locked to Blockly. That means if I were to get out of it, now you can see I'm no longer in that app. Now, if I want to, as a teacher, navigate my students to a specific website, I can use the navigate feature. But the trick with this one is that you have to have already saved the website as a favorites inside of your stuff. So here we don't have really any favorites saved, just Apple, Bing, Google, Yahoo. I can still take the iPad to Google if I want, and now it's on Google. You can see it shows that the Safari icon is on. The unlock and lock feature, unlocked, we've unlocked the iPad. Again, we've unlocked it. If we had multiple iPads, it would make more sense. We can mute the iPad. So if we don't want them making any noise, we can mute them. We can unmute them. Pretty easy, you just touch the mute icon. So let's say you want to see your screens, right? So that's an important feature of Apple Classroom. We want to be able to see the screens that our students are looking at. So you're going to touch the binoculars. It's right to the right of the mute. Let's touch that, and then it shows for all of the students that we have in our class, we can see what their screen looks like. You can see here that it is the Google icon. We'll go ahead and touch that student. Well, we'll do that in just a minute, but you see the preview of the Google screen that it's on. If you want to go back and add more students, you definitely can add students again to the class. You see it's the feature right after screens. You press add, and you get a new code. If you want to create groups, you press the plus sign to create groups, and you can group your iPads once you have multiple. Really doesn't make a whole lot of sense since we only have one student. So let's look at some of the things you can do just by clicking on a student by student basis. So let's say I want to click on the test student, And so now we can make the test student open a specific app. We'll have them go back to Blockly, or we can go back and we can have them go to the calendar, and this time we'll lock them at the calendar so they can't get off. It's opening up their calendar. Done. And now we can see here, if we go back, touch on that student, and we hit view screen, this is actually what the iPad is being shown right now. What's new in calendar. So we're done with that. We hit done up in the top right hand corner. Again, you can unlock the iPads so that they have free range over them. And I'll take it a minute, we're done. Or if you want, you can lock their iPad. And when you lock their iPad, it shows that this student is now locked, and they actually see something on their screen that says this iPad has been locked by whatever you've put your teacher name in. Again, we'll unlock it. This now allows them to be able to see their screen again and be able to access stuff. If we want to AirPlay, we can do AirPlay. Really nothing that we have is set up for AirPlay right now, so it's not going to be something you see very much. But that's going to be the major features of this. Like I said, it works better when you have more students involved. You can go through and you can monitor what they're doing. You can open apps. You can lock them into apps. You can see what their screens are showing. Lots of great things inside of Apple Classroom. I know several of you have already utilized Apple Classroom really well, and I'm glad for it, but I know some people haven't actually started using Apple Classroom yet for various reasons. And so I hope this video kind of helps walk you through how to set up your Apple Classroom for the first time. And if you have any issues, again, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Mr. Julito. We're always glad to help everyone. And with that, I just want to say, I hope everyone has a great rest of their Tuesday or the rest of their week, whenever you're watching this, and go Eagles.